The newly released Durham report shows the FBI screwed up its Trump-Russia investigation. Will there be consequences? Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. For years, the mainstream media and many on the political left insisted that Trump colluded with the Russians to win the 2016 election because no one can just lose an election anymore. Whenever one side wins, the other accuses them of stealing it somehow. We may as well just decide the president via capture the flag. And again, that's how we'd wind up with two-term President Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Might not be so bad. Anyway, in July 2016, the FBI opened up an investigation into Trump's campaign, codenamed Crossfire Hurricane. Coincidentally, Crossfire and Hurricane were my two favorite American gladiators. The investigation ended up in the hands of special counsel Robert Mueller. But in 2019, Mueller found no conspiracy. Around that time, then Attorney General Bill Barr appointed John Durham as special counsel to investigate the investigators and review the origins of the FBI probe. 4 years, 480 interviews, 6 million pages of documents, and 190 grand jury subpoenas later, Durham has finally released his 300-plus page report. And it is unequivocal. Durham confirmed previous reports that there was no Trump-Russia collusion, but he also sharply criticized the FBI's probe. I bet. If I had to read 6 million pages of documents just to figure out what I already knew, I'd be in a sharply criticizing mood too. I might even go so far as to be mildly uncouth. According to the report, federal investigators did not have any actual evidence of collusion between Trump's 2016 campaign and Russia. In fact, it says the FBI's handling of key aspects of Crossfire Hurricane were seriously deficient and caused the agency severe reputational harm, which they could have avoided had the FBI followed their own principles regarding objectivity and integrity. It's kind of impressive that the FBI could further harm its reputation. Every year when they tweet Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day, they get ratioed to oblivion by people reminding them they once tried to get MLK to kill himself. Their reputation is get dragged for wishing people a happy holiday bad. Former U.S. President Donald Trump cheered the report, posting on Truth Social, that it concluded that the FBI never should have launched the Trump-Russia probe. News sites like NBC News and Forbes said the same thing, but that's not quite correct. The more accurate headline is that Durham concluded the FBI never should have launched a full Trump-Russia probe during the 2016 election. Somehow that accurate headline ended up in the hands of CNN. Broken clocks, right? You see, there are different types of investigations. In order to start a preliminary investigation, an agent must have information or allegation of a federal crime being committed or about to be committed. In a preliminary investigation, intrusive tools like the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act and electronic surveillance are not allowed. A full investigation has a much higher threshold. It requires an agent to have an articulable factual basis that a crime has or is about to occur, and it allows all lawful tools, including intrusive surveillance. Trump's campaign got the full investigation treatment. And everything about the investigation was a complete disaster. It's like they gave a hamster a bath using a fire hose. Rest in peace, Fluffles. I'll explain how after the break. Welcome back. Now, many in the mainstream media are downplaying Durham's scathing report on the FBI. Some are pointing out that he only secured one conviction throughout his probe and failed to convict 2 others. Coincidentally, probe and conviction were my 2 least favorite American gladiators. Others point out how a lot of his points were already covered in Inspector General for the Justice Department Michael Horowitz's 2019 report, which also criticized the FBI's wiretap applications, reliance on the Steele dossier, and bias. The New York Times fixates on the fact that Durham used the word triggered to insinuate that he's echoing a conspiracy theory. Was he? Maybe he was just a fan of Joe Rogan's 2016 stand-up special, Triggered. Although saying someone's a fan of Joe Rogan probably won't make anyone stop believing they're into conspiracy theories. But this report helps flesh out and confirm just how bad the FBI's investigation on Trump's 2016 campaign was. According to Durham's report, the FBI opened Crossfire Hurricane just 3 days after receiving a sketchy report from Australian diplomats about Trump aide George Papadopoulos. It rushed into the investigation without any significant review of its own intelligence databases or relevant intelligence from other agencies, witness interviews, or any of the standard analytical tools for evaluating raw intelligence. But who needs any of those procedural necessities when you've got a hunch? I bet the FBI doesn't use measuring cups when they cook either. This is how you wind up with botched investigations in marinara. Durham said that had it done so, the FBI would have learned that their own experienced Russia analysts and others at the CIA, NSA, and State Department had no information about Trump being involved with Russian leadership officials. But since the FBI didn't look deeply at the available intelligence, it went ahead and investigated Trump's campaign allies, Papadopoulos, Carter Page, Paul Manafort, and Michael Flynn, and requested FISA authorities for Papadopoulos and Page. As it turns out, the FBI found no leads until they came across the Steele dossier, generated by former British intelligence officer and Werewolf of London, Christopher Steele. You may recall how the mainstream media and the FBI lapped up the Steele dossier as bombshell proof of the Trump-Russia collusion. And why wouldn't they? That story was broken by pillar of journalistic excellence, BuzzFeed. Their quizzes are always right about which Ghostbuster I am, so why would anyone doubt this? But as it turns out, the Steele dossier was built on a lie. You can check out that episode for more. Wait, does this mean I'm not really Peter Venkman? I don't know what to believe anymore. The FBI should have been able to figure that out, but the department did not adequately examine or question materials given to them and the motivations of those providing them, even when the director of the FBI and others learned of significant and potentially contrary intelligence. In fact, there was significant reliance on investigative leads provided or funded by Trump's political opponents. This would be like believing McDonald's hamburgers are made from puppy meat, based solely on a study funded by Wendy's. You obviously can't trust that since Wendy is a redhead, the most devious of all heads. One Trump opponent providing these leads was 2016 presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, who helped fund the Steele dossier. And speaking of Clinton, the report draws attention to a lot of double standards in the FBI. Durham's report adds a new detail to the overall picture. Information about the FBI's investigation of a foreign donor who sought to buy influence with the Clinton campaign. In January 2016, an FBI asset attended a Clinton fundraiser and made a $2,700 campaign contribution on behalf of a foreign donor without the knowledge of his or her FBI handling agent. That's a no-no. But this wasn't documented in FBI records, and the FBI didn't open a separate investigation into it. Because when has foreign money ever caused issues? That question isn't rhetorical. To find the answer, watch literally any video from my other channel, China Uncensored. Now, the FBI eventually told the asset to stay away from the Clinton campaign, effectively removing their sole source of insight into this threat. And it didn't seem to put any effort into investigating. Because you can trust Hillary Clinton. Trump is obviously a big old phony, but Hillary Clinton keeps hot sauce in her purse. She's so down to earth. And not just literally when she's falling on the ground on the campaign trail. While the FBI did warn the Clinton campaign about possible evidence of foreign influence on a different occasion in 2015, it didn't do the same for Trump. And worse, after allegations of potentially criminal activity involving the Clinton Foundation came up, both senior FBI and Justice Department officials placed restrictions so that essentially no investigative activities on the Clinton Foundation occurred for months leading up to the election. Not sure if it was because they wanted her to win or they believed all the conspiracy theories and were afraid if they crossed her, Hillary would murder them with her eye lasers. Now, Durham's report doesn't say that the FBI's investigation was motivated by politics or survival instincts, but it does accuse federal officials of acting without appropriate objectivity or restraint. It's very clear that certain FBI officials were predisposed to believe the worst things about Trump. I'll tell you more after the break. Welcome back. Durham's report takes aim at FBI bias against Trump, two officials in particular, FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe and the counterintelligence official he ordered to initiate Crossfire Hurricane, Peter Strzok. Both of them, by the way, were fired in 2018. McCabe just days before retirement. This is why officers are never supposed to go around saying, "I'm about to retire." It's bad luck. Like people in a scary movie saying, "I'll be right back," or actors in an M. Night Shyamalan movie agreeing to be in an M. Night Shyamalan movie. While many are quick to point out that the FBI had legitimate reasons to at least initially investigate Trump, it's hard to imagine that people like Strzok had a cool head when it comes to finding out what's true. As you can see from records of his messages with the Deputy Director's Special Assistant Lisa Page, Strzok doesn't think highly of Trump's intelligence. A grown man calling someone else an idiot while texting 0MG is a real case of the kettle calling the pot Justin Trudeau. He has also voiced a very clear preference for Clinton. That's not all. Not too long after receiving the order to initiate Crossfire Hurricane, Strzok seemed confident that the FBI would stop Trump from becoming president, texting, "We'll stop it." One other way people may interpret what he said was that Strzok was determined to stop Trump, which is bad. But at least he didn't try to convince Trump to kill himself, so this is actually progress for the FBI. There also seems to have been an agreement to not anger Clinton in case she became president. Between making Trump angry and making Clinton angry, yeah, I can see why Strzok thought that way. What's most shocking, though, is how the FBI continued going along with the investigation even after information came to light contradicting the Steele dossier. Even after Steele's main source for the information, Igor Danchenko, told the FBI that the information was raw hearsay and rumor, exaggerated and even fabricated in parts, the Bureau continued to present it in court months into the Trump presidency. Some FBI agents recognized that the case against Trump was thinner than Callista Flockhart during Ramadan. Durham reported how some FBI employees said that they had significant reservations about aspects of Crossfire Hurricane and tried to convey their misgivings to their superiors. Others had doubts about the investigation but did not voice their concerns. And in some cases, people had doubts but said nothing because they thought the people calling the shots had more compelling information at hand that they weren't aware about. Oh, so officers just assumed their superiors knew best and were just following orders. That's a perfectly valid excuse without any loaded historical context. In response to the report, the FBI didn't deny what it said, but put out a statement saying that the current FBI leadership already took corrective actions and that the report reinforces the importance of ensuring the FBI continues to do its work. The FBI screwing up shows how important the FBI is. That's like getting caught cheating and saying, "I've already implemented corrective actions and this just proves that you need to keep trusting me." That's not the message Republicans are getting, however. Many are saying there must be consequences. It's not hard to see why. The FBI really got itself in a political mess by allowing bias to get in the way of determining what's fact. Just saying that they already fixed everything isn't doing much to persuade people to trust it more. Had the FBI switched it up and treated Clinton as badly as Trump, I think we know how the mainstream media would have reacted. Seriously, campaigns on both sides need to be held to the same standards. This way, maybe there will be fewer accusations about stolen elections. And some are saying what the FBI did does amount to election interference. But that's ridiculous. I mean, it's not like the FBI made a haphazard tweet. Now that's election interference. So what do you think of the Durham report? Leave your comments below. And remember that we rely mainly on direct support from viewers like you. If you want to help us deliver nonpartisan news, all it takes is as little as $1 per episode over on our crowdfunding website, Patreon. Visit patreon.com/America Uncovered for more. Click the link below. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.